I need to think about what I do, what I say, how I dress. If I have to be politer, maybe. Because not even because they are racist. I'm not saying that they are racist. I'm just saying that I'm constantly aware of me being different, and they have these preconceived thoughts, opinions, which is literally when they see me, you're black, they're white. What the fuck? It is, on one side it's difficult because you are both black and white because I'm adopted. So for me it's double. It's an identity that I believe is difficult to have because people don't understand, as well as black as well as white. They have this perception of who I am, and they feel like I should have almost this character or this personality, which I'm not. So I feel like I have to explain constantly like who I am in a sense. And also I believe that there's a bigger reason of especially whites having like difficulty about being different in general. And then on top of that, I'm also adopted. And on top of that, I'm smart. Or on top of that, I am this. I feel as if that's even a bigger problem for me, because then I have to explain like multiple layers about me, and I feel as if nobody has to do that, only me. So that becomes a problem for me, because it separates me from the rest. And being black is already knowing you are different, but it has to be a difficult thing for me to constantly talk about it, constantly explaining about it, how it is for me or how it is for them, or what the similarities are or the differences. Yeah, I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult being especially adopted, because people feel they're entitled to their opinion, they're entitled to their feelings about how Africa is, why you are being saved. That's like the most general thing I've heard, and it's so offensive. So offensive, saying that you should be lucky to be here. My mother and my father, they are Dutch, and my mother comes from a little small town here, and my father comes from Friesland, which is up in north, and their families are totally, completely different families, and it's known in the Netherlands that the Dutch Fries people up in the north are a little bit more close-minded. They have their own language or dialect. They're prideful in what they are, like, because they really see themselves as different from the Netherlands. But at the same time, I feel as if I'm not being accepted as one, because I'm not as Fries as I thought I was. I mean, I don't know the language, but my father is, and he teaches me, and I have Baken and Beppe, that's the other name for grandparents. So sometimes I felt as if they really, especially the Friese, they really could not see me at all in who I was, in who I was going to be, or who I thought I was going to be. Every philosophy about like the identity about being black, they did not get. I'm just Yesni, I'm their daughter, I'm part of the family. And at the same time, I'm always different. And that was so confusing to how can I be like, there's nothing special about me, till I am so different from my biological brother, Ruben. And then you got my mother's side, which is extremely friendly and open-minded, and yes, they know I'm adopted, but it's okay, and like who cares, you know? And that made me also being black in the Netherlands, also on top of that being adopted, also on top of that having your own family, which is the only family you got, having this completely different treatment of you. And that treatment confuses me a lot, because is it a beautiful thing that they didn't saw me special? Was that normal? Were they normalizing me? Or was it in a sense that they weren't seeing me? Like when people say, I don't see color. You should see color. It's an important thing. You should see that I have difficulties in this family when we are going to a party or we're celebrating a party, I mean, and we're in an, how you said, a party hall, whatever. You know people gonna look. You know people gonna look, and they're not gonna look at you, Lotte. They're not gonna look at you, Ruben. They're gonna look at me. And I need to think about what I do, what I say, how I dress. If I have to be politer, maybe, because not even because they are racist. I'm not saying that they are racist. I'm just saying that I'm constantly aware of me being different, and they have these preconceived thoughts, opinions, which is literally when they see me, you're black, they're white. What the fuck? And that was difficult growing up in a white neighborhood, in a neighborhood who is trying to develop, because it was like there weren't a lot of houses when I came there. It was just getting built, and the school was really white. I had a couple of there's a little bit of diversity, like a small bit. With like 100% of the school, it would be 1%, maybe 2. So that's not even like right, but it was more difficult. It was more difficult for me growing up there because it forced me constantly that I needed to explain, or I needed to justify. I needed to tell that Africa is a continent and not a country. I need to tell about my country. I need to tell why I'm here, why my biological mother, gave me away, or put you away, or even like even most disgusting things they say. Or even when my mother noticed that I got so many questions when I was in the 3rd grade, and I don't even know how old you are. I think you're around 6, around 6. I'm not sure. And my mother said, you get so many questions and you come home and you ask me so many questions, and this subject is getting like over and over again over explained, that maybe you should give a little presentation about your country, about Ethiopia, that's where I'm from, so they know that it's a country in Africa, what is going on there, why you're here, why we adopted you. But you know, she of course she said it all in like a childish way. So I knew this is a good thing, because my mama told me this is going to help people to understand me, and this is especially going to help me to understand why they keep asking me this, because they did not ask like how I'm doing or what a beautiful name, you know. So she tried to make this positive. So that happened. She was near me. She was in the classroom, and I did that, and there were questions. And children are rude, you know. Children are like, "But did your mother die?" And that was, looking back at it, maybe it was not the most logical thing. Well, let's not even say logical, because it was logical in a sense if you took their perspectives. But it was not the most wisest thing to do, because I get confronted by questions that I didn't even know, that I didn't even thought about it, because she's my mom. Like, she's white, I get that, but she was my mom. So I had to figure out my own way that I became, even as a child, I became this stereo black angry woman, because I was so hurt by everything. My temperament went like literally from 0 to 100. That whole term I have been all my life, and I've learned it to control it, because I know I'm just helping the stereotyping, and that's exactly opposite of what I want to do. But also knowing what you have to do, then it's hard. I think it's hard, and I think you have to be very smart, and I think you have to be very patient. And a lot of people say that I don't want to yell, I don't want to scream, I don't want to be an activist, because I get this label. But at the same time, you see people on the other side looking like you're dying on the street, or you see other people even here, you know, being profiled by the police. So how can you really not scream? You should scream, in a sense, even if it's inner. And for me, knowing how whites see me and accept me, but also when they ask me about Zwarte Piet, or they ask me about Donald Trump, about the massacre in America, because that's what it is on the streets, they see it completely differently and they don't like it. They don't like it because they disagree. I think the first thing comes to my mind is, because it was important to me, the protection of yourself. That you are aware that many jokes will be made, many questions will be asked, a lot of supreme feeling that they could and have to and they're entitled are, and especially you are entitled to answer. I believe that if you slide, if you let too much slide away, like in a sense, yeah, I will just answer it and it will be over. I will just let them touch my curls or my afro or whatever, and it will be good. That you will find that you will not have a safe boundary. You will not have a feeling that you are in control of the situation, because things can get out of control really quickly because they believe there are, you're not angry. You're not saying anything, so there can be things be said. There could be things said which is uncomfortable, which can lead to an uncomfortable situation or where you do get hurt. So in a sense, what makes them Dutch, in my eyes, is that I really believe that if you do not tell them up front, or you don't have a system to protect yourself, that they will mistreat you on subconsciously or consciously, and mostly it's subconsciously, and then they feel that the atmosphere changes because you're feeling a type of way, or you're sending some kind of energy, or you're looking in a certain type of way, and they kind of pick that up, and then they go over it because they feel. There's one thing especially which I learned is when you direct them or address them to their own behavior, they become so extremely offended by it, offensive, and also in unbelief, like me, that you need that it switched the whole conversation about them doing you wrong to you doing them wrong, and then you have to convince them of what was really happening, and why you let it slide, or why you had to say something, or why you're in this feeling right now. And the whole build-up, they may subconsciously have that, or they may subconsciously do that, or consciously do that to you, but it's your job, it's your responsibility to draw that line. And I think, to me, Dutch really cross that line a lot and get offensive by it when you're out there, when you put it out there. I had many experiences that people in stores said to me a couple of things. For example, they told me when I was standing in line, and I came to the counter to get my stuff, pay my stuff, and I took some stuff out of my bag, which was my own, and they said, "Oh, you cannot put it in there." Especially because they said it in English, which was weird to me because we're in the Netherlands. And it was weird to me because it was my own stuff. So I said, no, this is what I'm trying to, and that's how it is also crazy if you look at it. I was being polite when they were being extremely racist and rude at the start. That's how also the system has worked, that you are being almost apologizing in a sense, or trying to act normal in a denormalized situation. But anyways, she said, "Oh, I thought it was from here because you have to pay for it." And I was like, "Why are you even speaking English?" In Dutch, of course. "Oh no, sorry. I just thought you were not from here." It's being honest. It's being honest about my color does not belong in here. So I probably be from the refugee camp in Dronten, which is not far from here, which everybody comes around this town. I look like them. So she was just open, and that's logic for her. Then another situation was where a person asked me something to do in the store itself. I was changing my clothes. It was like a second-hand store. I was changing clothes, or I did something, and she already spoke English again to me. So I said, "What is the meaning of you speaking English again?" It was the same woman. Let me tell you, it was the same woman. I already have met her. And she again apologized, and then I started to go to the colleagues saying, is this normal to you? Do you think everybody is, from the refugee camp and we can barely or cannot speak Dutch? And she said, yeah, well, it happens too often. So it was two different people in the same situation that treated me the same way, but also found it logical, found it normal, found it reasonable even. So that happened. What also happened was on school in Zwolle, I did a care education. That meant that I needed to have some kind of shots for hepatitis, I don't know how you pronounce it, for some disease. And what they said was, everybody who was born in the Netherlands, stand to your left, and everybody who has not been born here, stand to the right. And you saw all the black people, all the people of color, we all stood in the same line, and you saw all the whites on the other side. I'm saying, this is racist, this is like discrimination based on where I'm from, where I'm my birthplace. This is so crazy to tell, but that was just logic to them. So I was so angry, and I was getting in front of the line, and I told the lady, which was all white ladies, but especially the older lady, the elderly, I told her and asked her, can you tell me why I'm standing here? Why you're separating people from birth? Because this doesn't sound right. Well, people from other countries could have, or could not have these shots. So I said, but you could have asked me if I got shots. You could have asked me, what are your medical records? If you wanted my medical records, I could even ask them, to give it to you. But you also could, ask me so and believe in my word. So why is it that you already just had the assumption that I should stand in this line? Well, so I didn't even know what she said. I think it was a repetition of what she said. It was just formulated differently. So what I said, just to interrupt her, I'm adopted. I got my shots. So what now? I was practically born here. And she said, well, if you're adopted, your mother, your biological mother, could probably have diseases. And that just, I lost it from that point, because her publicly, openly saying that your biological mother, which she has no right to talk about in general, or even not even with that respect, but just no, because it didn't matter, felt that she could say that she has diseases, that I probably have diseases, and because I take care of elderly from the Netherlands, I might just infect them. And that was so crazy to me that I flipped it hard. I was angry, but I told myself in, and I just stared at her a very long time. But everybody noticed that I was getting angry. So what happened is, they took me aside. They say, you are being very threatful, so you're going to have to go to another room and we will talk about this. So I said, what you mean? How I'm being threatful? She is discriminating me on my base of my birth. And she's also publicly embarrassing me and calling stuff out of proportion. So what they did was, they really sat me down with 4 or 5 different people, with her included, saying that she felt threatened, that I needed to apologize. And if I didn't apologize to her by feeling threatened by me, which I never did, actually threaten her, then there would be a record in there would be a letter in my record saying that this behavior I had or something. And it was the fact that they took me and did not ask how I was doing, why I was hurt, or why I was angry, or if my anger is actually hurt, because not everybody cries, was completely a complete confirmation of, they did not see me as a human. They really saw me as a threat. The more we speak up about it, the angrier they get. That is something that I've noticed. So the fact that we are standing up for what we believe is wrong, wrongfully done to us, also done to us, is especially a word that they felt we are not entitled to speak about. You get to see this whole side of Netherlands, indeed, where I agree with, that they say we're going backwards. Because as much as we stand up, they shut us down. Literally shut us down in protests, where we are, in Rotterdam, being forced in an alley and locked up for hours. So where are we going with the future does not really lay in it does lay in our hands. I want to say it doesn't lay in our hands. It does lay in our hands, but it's also the responsibility, and a much larger one, from the whites to really think about their future and their children, because they have to live with us. You cannot live without us. You need us, and we're going to be here, you know. So where the future is going to be at, I believe if Mark Rutte is going to send those I don't even call it letters. This it's ridiculous what he said in the letter. That message to all these people who kind of feel like him and now feel empowered, you know, to say and do whatever they want, because their prime minister or whatever his thing is, you know, his thing is confirming to that whole thought, that underbelly, whatever feeling. I believe that we are getting stronger, that we are getting connected, that we are trying to make each other not even just woke, but aware of the situation. That you see that all these people with afros and curly hair are getting, you know, all this attention they are getting in commercials. I've never seen people in commercials with curly hair or my kind of soft hair or even afros. Now I see them like everywhere, and I see communities coming together. I see getting Facebook groups, or I see events where people connect with each other because they're just black, so or of color, or with the same faith. So I believe in a sense as maybe the situation in the Netherlands itself get like progressively aggressive in a sense, or fake, you know, trying to really be aware but actually do not want to put in work. We get more connected, and we believe that our culture, our birthplace, our mother, our father, our faith, our tradition, our everything, history, that is beautiful and royal and needs to be celebrated. That's why a lot of people love Kendrick Lamar, because he did that, and he's from America. He doesn't even come from here, but we feel related to him because the pride in his voice and the many things that he says, like no matter what people, you know, especially white men, no matter what they say or what they feel, you're royal. You know, it's in your DNA. And I think that empowerment is going to go up, and activism is going to be more socially accepted by us than stereotyped by the years, because they cannot lie, they cannot deny what is going on and how wrongfully they have been and are and probably wanted to be, because they are afraid of change. Because that's really what it's all about. They're just afraid of the unknown, of what is going to happen. So as they grow up, we can grow up, you know. But if they don't, we will. You know, we're gonna be there, and we're gonna be there like surviving, like we always have. At least I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna be surviving, and I'm gonna take everyone with me who's willing to, and I will fight the battle who's trying to stop me. Yeah.